Well, let's go ahead and ally.
Oh, looks like you're awake.
Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
Looked over at Fi and met her eyes. You remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Yeah, I remember all right.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark.
What am I? Chopped liver?
The frick?
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem, all in the day's work. Although I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action.
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Hey, I wasn't talking to Quark. That was an offer to Alice.
Not really my point.
Oh, whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
What
Huh?
are you talking about?
Look at...
It says 10. I have 10 BP?
I've got 15 BP. That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally. And now all of us have enough to leave.
I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? That to start things off, maybe we've been less suspicious of one another. The bonds had never had, or the bond had something to do with it. All joined forces against Dio, and Fi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which I had to admit would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against them. Must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you death was unavoidable? Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Come on, let's go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after we mentioned that he'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
Alright, let's get going.
Really? We're gonna just leave? I didn't think we were gonna be doing that. Ding ding ding. Looks like Akane is still here somewhere. That's Kurashiki. June. Everybody ready? Gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone else swallowed and nodded. Grabbed the lever and pulled it down. Well, we're still all infected is the thing? Except for these two bozos?
The number 9 door, it will...
Alright, everybody, let's move. Sling, 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 sling. Didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It was sort of like a large put on top of a huge pedestal. Ran to the center of the plate and turned around. Number 9 doors stood open wide.
1, 0. The number 9... The number 9 door has closed. This ends the nonary game.
I don't really get the point in injecting everybody with the Radical 6. We didn't even know that we had it. Except for that one offhanded hint from Luna and the one death or one optional like ending over here.
Thank you for your participation.
You gotta do all the endings. I just don't see why it was even
As the
necessary.
game is over, all doors
Yeah, you just slowed down
other
time
than
for
the
like
number
maybe half a
9
minute.
door have been
This path,
unlocked.
or one of the paths, but it could easily been like forgotten about. I mean, Quark and Luna, I get it, or not, I was sure. Well, like, I still don't get why everybody else got it. Maybe what we get to seek. I'm good. I should just hold my tongue. I had done for some other situations in this game. Credits haven't rolled yet, baby. So no point in me complaining. I will say I do prefer 9. This game's good. I still prefer 999.
Looks like we did it.
Yes. We should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar looking door. Pushed open and went in. Dunk, 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 dunk. Pressure exchange chamber?
You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. And the idea is to keep the air outside and consequently the virus from getting inside. That means that if we want to get out, we have to decompress so we can match the outside air pressure. Room here is where we were prepared if we're going into the actual pressure exchange room. You see all the suits belonging to the wall? Figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute. You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were already infected with Article 6. Our room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they?
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else injected. We all donned the protective suits, headed downstairs to the decompression room. I have myself to 3 o'clock, by the way. 3 o'clock is when I'm out of here. As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. I stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At least it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Alas, it did. Sorry. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before in another timeline. Others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their face through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there astonished.
Where the hell are we?
Tag yourself?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon.
December 31st, 2078.
It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was gonna be on December 31st, 2028. So...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
I think so.
Wherever we were, it must have been far away from any city. Air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars, the sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. The most striking feature was the moon. Blood red and massive, much bigger in fact than I remembered it being. I get, like, Hemioldi, biting his tongue about the date. But why is Quark? I watched a black spot between the move, being the move across the surface. Hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the red edge. Like, he must have known something was up, because he was also talking about the original tests being done on, again, a site forever ago. He was a part of. And then he wasn't old. I mean, he was already old when he found Quark, so Quark must know it was not, the 20s. What's that?
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow. I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot. And brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What's that you're saying?
Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. Then again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon covering the sun.
What? No way. That's Earth, and where the heck are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base.
It's like a stinking 6-year-old kid.
Way. No, you've got to be
8-year-old kid.
lying.
I don't get how he was, like, toeing the line
How
of
do you
being a
expect us
perfect
to
little
believe
do-gooder.
that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
Picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
Luna?
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Excelavir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example.
You don't really have to.
Say you drop an apple from a height
It's
of
not that
1.9
technical.
meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second.
Why did you go louder,
4.9
Luna?
seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us. Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity? Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that?
Seemed insane, but one of them said made sense. Explained Fire apparently superhuman strength very well. None of these other chuds decided to jump. I mean, was Dio also, you know, affected with Radical 6? He was an intruder?
Wait, this is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and it's blue and green and beautiful. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th.
129?
No.
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
And just what year is this?
It's 74.
Okay, I thought it was 78, but, you know, insane. I mean, we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
Blame me if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world.
Yes, Clover knows all about him.
On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What? Why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars.
I really love the info dump. Told through was thinking radio.
One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground.
Couldn't just like filter out the radio. It's for the sake of pleasantry.
Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that.
You were there though, weren't you?
After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with
Never mind, I'm dumb. Sorry, it's 2:15 in the morning.
They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings.
I rolled dice for 20 minutes.
There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th in 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors. Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened, but I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate if I die, you're coming with me gesture, I suppose. I bet you money they'd all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan, even if it wasn't directly responsible. Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosion threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually, they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sun sets red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Tenmyuji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost and thought I barely noticed Five's approach.
Hey, Sigma, I think I figured something out.
A window popped up inside of my helmet with a whisper in the corner. Seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
I figured out why there's an extra E.
Extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti?
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A.
Yeah, I mean, we only been saying that for a while. What's Anna say this time?
God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off! Memento mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get the man on the moon rules the infinite time. See?
You said they were like a pen and pad and just cranked down 1,000 sheets of paper?
You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past. Those 2 people are you, Sigma, and you, Vi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you saying they're going to send us back 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe that Tenmyuji was talking about?
I think so.
Doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came back from the same time period before it actually... We came from the same time period before it actually... So why bring us here and send us back?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key?
Tu fui ego eris.
Your grave. The one in the garden. Yeah, I did not remember that, but...
Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
We turned and ran back into the pressure exchange chamber, others following close behind.
What?
Pat.
What are you doing? Did you forget something?
To be fair, I haven't done the botany. I was in my second session, so this thing in about 11 days ago. I want to go have a talk with somebody.
Oh,
You really need me to spell it out. The person behind all
you mean
this.
Akane.
What?
I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait, why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please. I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going too, and so am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Shut up. Shut up, come if you want to. We don't need to do the roll call. Once we get there, Connie can explain everything. Is she gonna pop out like a thing like Magic Trick Man? Heading back to the airlock. ding gong dong ding gong dong ding gong.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah, the grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah, don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. She's still alive, just in the grave. Anyway, let's move to the garden. B garden. Is she also infected, or is she just like slowing down her speech when she talks to us? What the correct mathematical 1/6 the root of 6 to stay normal, keep with the roots. I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
Doing the Nelly Lucy emote or Twitch emote. I don't think we'll have to do anything like that. Let's heal in the grave. If I just insert this here, pull the key off my ankle and put it into the hole. Which is in the right until I heard something click. The quiet grinding, the grave began to shift.
What is this?
It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment pod.
Oh my god.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, it says it. Glass in the cover had frosted over, making a peek. You couldn't see who or what was in it.
Let's see what's inside.
She grabbed a hold of the lever on the side of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
What?
Treatment pod TP00. Stage 1 defrosting complete. Stage 2 will be complete in 10 minutes.
Alright, anyone know where the stinking cup of Joe is?
Complete. The lock will automatically disengage.
Right? Cold sleep.
What?
Pausing put people in cold sleep. There's something called the cast to freeze human bodies without destroying their cells.
So, Mizakane's like an ice cube?
I think
Then
so.
we gotta wait till she melts?
Yeah.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
Oh, we know already.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born in a rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories. That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension. That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan. By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life or death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Wait, hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes, I suppose I should explain. Very well, I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes, in preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking, as I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past. Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you.
That's why Snake's freaking dead.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh? But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history, you were able to perform a prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs. Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, we would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust.
We just have a billion stinking timelines, and we just keep randomly guessing the numbers.
This history exists because of your presence. Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark.
Didn't need Quark, you brought him along.
Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, it headed straight for the moon. During the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out, and when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio. His real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons. He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is in turn controlled by a man known as Brother. It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released.
I'm gonna go back in time and find Left and Brother in their crib and give them the
If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given 2 tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed, at least not in that timeline. In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9. Hence, the bombs.
Can I ask you something?
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed?
No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent.
But I might have finished this before 3.
That explains everyone.
If not, I'll
Save
finish it the
2.
first thing tomorrow.
Luna, and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however. I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves at a later time. Would that be all right with you, Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma, in another timeline.
Yeah, well, I saw a hologram. Still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete.
We better meet him.
TP00 unlocking.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Let's do it. All of us gathered around the pod. I guess it could be what's his face, but I doubt it. Hiding contents.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around us. That's followed.
All
Anytime.
right, here we go. 3.
If it wasn't a hologram, maybe I'd be
2,
able to distinctly
1.
tell if it was his face or not, but... What? Suddenly my head was full of memories from other timelines. Something like this before. Warehouse floor B, in front of the white door. Kid was lying in front of me, grabbed his mask and saw my own face. Never figured out who it really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? Did it make sense? After I'd seen him, I was addicted to Turbocurylene, and I was into that. But wait, the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen him. I still thought, like, we would see the original, not the clones. This is just also like another clone? Wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
Oh, she put on the armor. No. Oh my god,
Yes,
you're...
I am.
Akane Kurashiki.
It's you, June. I mean, Akane, from... But you're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover. Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane.
Who did you think it was, Clover?
Time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. But like all the air had been knocked out of me. It was all I could do to not collapse right there and then there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse? Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, Your minds did, at least. I carried your bodies to the third AB room, and then took Dio's to the fifth. After that, I went into the first room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and then Luna took your body to the sixth room. You couldn't have been in Kay's
No,
armor.
it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio. You two saved me. It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
That's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever I'm not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of Soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
Surrogate mother. Oh, time for your, hello, sweetie. Time for your, hourly dose of Soforil. Oh, thanks. Can't wait.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
I have no idea who he is.
I've never seen him before.
Me either. Total stranger.
Hey, come on. What are you guys saying? Right here? Same face?
Huh?
Are you alright, Mr. Sigma? Did you hit your head or something?
Huh? What? Didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago.
Looked around frantically. A pond. I ran in and threw myself down on my knees, crawling on all fours. I approached the edge. Heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat rolled down my spine. Calm down, calm down, calm down. Dang it! Struggled to take deep breaths. Then slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. What? No, this can't be real. That face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb. Although, to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project, is you.
Tag yourself? What? No, that's not possible. That's bullcrap.
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good. Please, Doctor.
I'm not a doctor.
You will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him. His
Create?
name is Kyle Climb, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself. 23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him. The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's. If nothing was done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones. But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born, he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
Does that have to wear it every day? I figure once you got like of age of full size. Why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place. I mentioned before that the AB projects A and B stood for after and before. That isn't all they mean, though.
Oh, frick.
The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch. That was the chief goal of the project.
Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the garden?
You mean a woman?
You mean this, right?
Yes.
I do remember this, yes.
Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future. I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next? You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074. That is today.
Whoa. Wait, what do you mean? Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down, so yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes. Now comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body, until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
Yes. 25th. According to what you just told us 36 hours ago.
That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Point A. December 25th, 2028, the day it all started.
Yes, his consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
But on that day, but once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
So it's rotating?
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way. But look at this illustration closely.
There's an exit.
What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated.
It really doesn't.
It's a single straight path, with one exception.
E. Line here, but E, right?
Exactly.
I already thoroughly examined this thinking board. I do recognize now they give it the flavor with the extra dots to simulate the fourth dimension.
Point E is December 31st, 2028, the day of the total eclipse.
The day Radical 6 got out of the test facility.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own. The purpose of the AB project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A. If we can do that, we can change what happened 45 years ago.
What version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out? By jumping into my 22-year-old body on the New Year's Eve of 2028.
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D. In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility. That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point, so that we might save humankind from destruction and undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
It's 10 to 3. I mean, one thing.
What is that?
You said that point C is January 27th, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is this jump supposed to happen?
Very soon. Yes.
Soon? What's going to trigger
we
it?
need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness, like a bullet from a slingshot.
How do you propose we do
Didn't
that?
I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death.
Oh, I get it. We're finally going to see the first
That
scene.
will jumpstart your brain.
Oh, what do you
You
mean?
haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Or that works too. Dio's knife. The sooner were the words out of my mouth. 5. I screamed and leapt towards them. Akane was already in motion, the knife driving towards Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. Te fue ego eris. What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Dun go dun. We'll start the final path, and I will, then probably save it there. I'm not seeing the ghost. Bye, Ed. Headquarters, April 13th, 2029.
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news.
Okay, I'm gonna save this here. And I'll finish this friggin' next time. Tomorrow, we'll start this for tomorrow. Quick game, please. Okay.